Welcome back at 6:45. We are going in depth this morning, learning about how the Salamanca School District is bringing students back into the classroom 5 days a week.
We told you in our last half hour, the district is starting in-person learning full-time for elementary and intermediate students. So we are diving deeper this morning, finding out how they're doing that directly from the superintendent, Robert Bridenstine. Joining us this morning. Thank you, Superintendent, so much for joining us to talk about this. How is the district going to start managing social distancing, bringing all of these students back to the classroom full time?
Well, one of the things that we've done to get students back to the point of returning 5 days a week is to make sure that we have an adequate supply of the physical barriers. Students will be required to wear masks, as they have been since we've had some students back on campus for the last several months. And having the CDC and the State Department of Health and the County Department of Health reduce the physical distancing from 6 feet to 3 feet has been one of the most significant factors in allowing us to bring students back to campus full time.
Oh, Mr. Bridenstine, you know, all things considered, the CDC had this guidance out for some time, but the State Department of Health really just changed its guidelines on Friday. So did you know something that we didn't, or did you have plans to kind of get this in motion ahead of time, and why did you make that decision?
Well, I wouldn't say we necessarily had insider information, but we've spoken regularly with the county health department down here in Cattaraugus County. They have been incredibly helpful to us in planning for this. We've been expecting that the changes would be coming based on some of the work and some of the conversations that were happening in Onondaga County in central New York. We've been ready to go with this for several weeks now, just waiting for the official guidance.
I know you're able to bring all students back in person. Are they all going to be in the same classrooms? Do you need to utilize other space? How is that working?
I think it's safe to say that we'll follow the 3-foot distance with barriers. We are commandeering some additional instructional spaces that we have in our district. And I think many districts that have been able to return students with greater frequency have been able to capitalize and utilize their existing footprints in their buildings. We're a little limited in that regard because we don't have surplus classrooms by and large. But if there's an instructional space where we can fit some students, we have more than enough staff. We're adding staff even for next school year to make sure that we have those ratios for as long as are necessary. But I think the general rule will be every classroom will be used to the fullest capacity.
Obviously, there are many parents who are thrilled to hear about school returning to 5-day-a-week in-person learning. It's been taxing for their parents, taxing for these students as well. But what about for those other students who are not returning to in-person learning, say the high schoolers? When can we expect to see that happen?
Well, we're going to continue to take a look at that. And one of the things that we've been advocating since this started last spring is we will have the majority of our students on campus daily. And we do have some students that have said and opted that they would prefer, after talking with their families and what their comfort level is, to stay in a hybrid model. And we have some students, a small number, that have said that they would prefer to remain 100% remote. We're in a position to honor that request from all three of those groups to be here full time, to be here in a hybrid, and to remain remote as long as they're comfortable. We've allocated staff to do that. And we're going to continue to do that and meet the families and the children where they're most comfortable.
All right, Superintendent Robert Bridenstine, thank you so much for joining us. It looks like we're starting to slowly return to normal, and nice to hear that these families have options as well. We appreciate your time this morning.